Welcome back to a sunny Catalonia. In this second video, I'm going to be showing you some more of the house and some of the work that I've already done. It'll be a sort of house tour with some additional photos and clips added in. We'll start with walk around the outside and then we'll have a look at the inside. Most of the outside work has been to try and give the house a clean stone finish, which has meant removing the old lime render from the walls. Sometimes this has been easy, and sometimes, especially when the render has some cement in it, like this bit to the left, it's been much more difficult. The first bit of work to show you are the changes to this side of the house, which, like all the wall cleaning work, involve getting up a ladder using a hammer and chisel and then a metal brush with some water. Here's a quick clip to show you what it looked like before and after the work. It's actually the least complete bit of work due to me not being able to go any higher with the ladder that I had at that time. But I've now got some scaffolding, and completing the tidy up of this wall is something I'll get on with soon. On this back wall I've been able to make a bit more progress, but it has taken a lot of hours to get the stones a bit cleaner. But I'm particularly pleased with the way that these old cornerstones have come up so clearly. And like all the walls on the building, when I have eventually finished cleaning them, I'll be repointing them all with lime mortar. This side of the house was a lot easier to clean up, probably because of years of sunlight had broken down the render, but it still took a lot of scrubbing to get the stones this clean. One bit of work where I did have some help from a local builder was raising this wall by a couple of meters. This section here is probably going to become a gate, but although it's blocked up now, we're going to go through to the other side. I took more photos of the work from this side, and this clip should give you an idea of what it involved. On the side we've just come from, we built the wall up with stones, while on this side we strengthened the wall with some blocks and gave it a render finish. Here at the front of the house there have been two different types of work. On this side it's involved removing the old render. And then on this side, we've removed a lot of old masonry, including a particularly wobbly old chimney. And then we've blocked up some openings which uninvited guests were using to get inside the house. So this section of the house is going to require some fairly major work, and the shed and the other parts of the garden that I want to change I'll talk about in a later video. For now it's time to head inside, going through the same entrance that I used on that first visit. Not much has actually changed in this room, apart from on the ceiling where I took a lot of material off the floor above and then put in a lot of these props to make it just a little bit safer. Moving on to the next room, the first thing you used to see was an old lavatory about here. But I took the walls out to open the room up a little bit. Like in the last room, this one has wooden beams, and a lot of these were getting very rotten, so I put some more props in and then removed all the heavy floor tiles that were above. And I'll show you this work when we go upstairs. All the other rooms on this level have vaulted ceilings, and we'll head to them now through this passage here. In here is a small space that I currently use for some storage. This room was particularly dark and dirty, so my main effort has been to clean the walls and lighten it up a bit. I've also done some work on cleaning the floors, which you can see in this clip now. We'll now move into what I think is the older part of the building, which ironically is in slightly better condition. This room's seen a fair amount of change. The first thing I did was to remove some brick cupboards and some internal doors from this part here. And then afterwards I spent a lot of time taking paint off this vaulted ceiling. This was a really dirty and dusty process, but I was really pleased with how it ended up looking. In this next room, there's a slightly different type of vault. This vault is built up from the four corners, which is one of the reasons it has this particular effect on the sound in this room. But it had the same paint on it as the last room and a similar amount of work. The vaults are a feature of the house that I really like, and thankfully most of them are in pretty good condition. This one has got a few cracks, so it will require some repair work. Thankfully the vault in this room didn't have any paint on it that I had to strip off, but the walls were pretty dirty, and after a lot of work they still need some more cleaning. Okay, so now we'll head upstairs. In this section, to make the room a lot brighter, I took out a partition wall that was here and a full ceiling that was above it. And then I spent some time cleaning up this wall. I then worked my way around the room, removing the plaster, which had a very bright green paint on it. I also spent some time in this room scrubbing the floor to see how the tiles might look when they were clean. Like all the rooms on this floor, the next room had a layer of plaster and paint on it. This room, like all the other ones on this level, I chipped off all the plaster on the walls with a hammer and a chisel, and then scrubbed it down with a brush. The ceiling and the roof in this section of the house is in okay condition. It's going to need some repair work and a little bit of modernising, and the walls and the roof in the next room are in a pretty similar state. This red brick wall is the same as in the last room, and cleaning this by hand did take a lot longer and was a bit of a slog. Now we'll move to the other side of the house, where part of it's in slightly less good condition. In this corner, I did the same type of work removing the plaster, which I'll show you in this clip. And with a little bit of extra work, it should start to look quite good. but the corner over here is going to require some pretty major work. This is the part of the house with the wooden beams rather than the vaults, and the combination of the rotting wood and the heavy tiles that were on top of it were not very reassuring, especially when there was a very heavy old chimney in that part just there. So the first bit of work I did was to take that chimney out, and then I carefully took the tiles off this section. The next room now looks a bit different to how I first found it. And the state that it was in was mostly due to a big hole that it had in it. So an early bit of work that I had a bit of help for was to try and make it a bit safer. To start with, we cleaned up the broken tiles and rafters, removed the debris and put some props in place. And then later on, we put a temporary cover on the hole to stop the rain coming in. But years of rain had made the beams in the floor really unsafe. So I removed the tiles from this room as well. And after the work, the room now looks like this. Now you've seen all the rooms in the house and some of the work that I've already done. I hope that you've enjoyed the house tour and that it's given you an idea about why I like the house so much. There's a lot of renovation work to do, but every time I come here I'm still really excited by it, especially if I go to almost any of the windows and have a look at the view. I'm also really excited about how the house and the garden will start to look, and I'll be explaining my plans in some future videos. But the next video will be of some work as I look to get the renovation going. For now, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.